BMW just did something that's going to fundamentally reshape the luxury SUV segment, and frankly, Mercedes and Audi are scrambling to respond. The 2027 X7 isn't just another facelift or minor update. This is BMW admitting they got some things wrong, going back to the drawing board, and emerging with a vehicle that challenges every assumption we had about what a flagship SUV should be. And here's what makes this particularly interesting. While Mercedes was busy adding more screens and Audi was perfecting their evolutionary approach, BMW was quietly solving problems their competitors didn't even know existed yet. Let's talk about what actually happened here. The original X7 launched in 2019 to mixed reviews. It was big, it was bold, and it was undeniably BMW. But it also felt like Munich was playing catch-up in a segment they arrived to late. The Mercedes GLS had established itself as the S-class of SUVs. The Audi Q7 had matured into a sophisticated package. And here came BMW with kidney grills you could park a motorcycle in and a design language that seemed to be shouting rather than speaking. Sales were decent, particularly in North America and China. But something was missing. That intangible quality that makes you choose one German luxury SUV over another when they're all objectively excellent. So what changed? Everything and nothing. And that's the genius of what BMW's done here. On the surface, the 2027 X7 might look like an evolution. The proportions are familiar. The presence is unmistakable. But spend time with the details, and you realize this is a complete rethinking of what BMW believes their flagship SUV customer actually wants. Not what focus groups said they wanted, not what sales data suggested, but what real-world owners, the ones spending six figures on a vehicle, actually need from a car they're going to live with every day. The design philosophy is the first indicator that something fundamental has shifted. Those controversial kidney grills? They're still large, but BMW's design team has done something clever. They've added depth, texture, and functionality that makes the size feel purposeful rather than provocative. The grille now houses active aerodynamic elements that adjust based on cooling needs and speed. At highway speeds, sections close to reduce drag. When you're towing that boat or caravan, or when the engine needs maximum cooling, they open fully. It's technology that serves function, and the design benefits as a result. The grille no longer feels like a statement for statement's sake. But here's what Mercedes and Audi missed, and this is crucial. BMW realized that their customer base, particularly in Europe and North America, was aging. Not in a negative sense, but in the sense that buyers have different priorities at 55 than they did at 35. These are people who've owned multiple luxury vehicles. They've experienced the latest technology. They're not impressed by gimmicks. They want refinement, quality, and solutions to problems they've encountered in previous vehicles. They want a car that feels like it was designed by people who actually drive, not just engineer. The exterior design reflects this maturity. Gone are the sharp angles and aggressive lines that characterized the previous generation. The 2027 X7 has a sculptural quality, with surfaces that catch light in interesting ways without relying on unnecessary creases. The roofline flows more gracefully. The rear haunches have real presence without looking overwrought. It's a design that looks better in person than in photographs, which is increasingly rare in an era where cars are designed to photograph well for Instagram, rather than to exist beautifully in three-dimensional space. Now, let's talk about what's under that hood, because this is where BMW made some genuinely surprising decisions. The powertrain lineup reads like BMW listened to actual customer feedback, rather than just following market trends. Yes, there's electrification, but it's implemented thoughtfully. The base model in most markets comes with a turbocharged inline-6 that produces 375 horsepower. It's smooth, it's refined, and it returns respectable fuel economy for a vehicle of this size. But more importantly, it's a known quantity. BMW's inline-6 engines have proven themselves over decades. Owners trust them, mechanics understand them. And in a world where everyone's rushing to electrify everything, there's genuine value in proven reliability. The interesting story is the plug-in hybrid. BMW didn't just slap a battery pack and electric motor into the existing platform. They redesigned the entire powertrain architecture to make the electrification feel integrated rather than added. The system combines a turbocharged inline-6 with an electric motor for a combined output of 485 horsepower and, more importantly, 516 pound-feet of torque, available almost instantaneously. The electric-only range is 45 miles, which doesn't sound revolutionary until you consider how most luxury SUV owners actually use their vehicles. And here's what's really interesting. BMW's data showed that their average X7 owner drives less than 30 miles on most weekdays. School runs, commuting to the office, running errands. The weekend is when longer trips happen. So the plug-in hybrid is optimized for that reality. It can handle the daily routine on electric power alone, dramatically reducing fuel costs and emissions, while maintaining the flexibility for longer journeys without range anxiety. Mercedes offers a plug-in hybrid GLS, sure, but the execution feels more like checking a box than solving a problem. The BMW system is more refined, the transitions between power sources are imperceptible, and the regenerative braking is calibrated to feel natural rather than aggressive. But there's a third option, and this is where BMW really surprised everyone. A fully electric X7 is coming, but not until 2028, and BMW's being refreshingly honest about why. They're not rushing to market with a compromised product. They're waiting until their solid-state battery technology is ready for production. They publicly stated they won't launch an electric X7 that weighs significantly more, costs dramatically more, and offers less usable space than the combustion models. They're waiting until they can deliver an electric vehicle that doesn't ask customers to compromise. That level of patience and discipline is unusual in an industry where everyone's racing to electrify their lineup as quickly as possible. Let's move inside, because this is where the 2027 X7 really differentiates itself. BMW hired interior designers from the furniture and yacht industries, people who understand luxury beyond automotive conventions, and you can feel the difference. The dashboard architecture is clean and horizontal, emphasizing width and spaciousness. There's a curved display that integrates the digital instrument cluster and central touchscreen, but it doesn't dominate the cabin the way it does in some competitors. The screen is there when you need it and recedes into the background when you don't. The materials are where you really notice the elevated approach. Mercedes has always done excellent interiors, absolutely. But there's a house style, a corporate approach to luxury that's consistent across their lineup. BMW decided the X7 needed its own identity. Open-pore wood that's actually wood, not a printed film. Metal switchgear with satisfying mechanical action. Leather that smells like leather should smell, treated in a way that develops a patina over time rather than looking worn. These are details that matter to people who've owned enough luxury cars to know the difference between real quality and very good imitation. The seats deserve special mention. BMW developed a new seat structure specifically for the X7 that provides support for genuinely long-distance travel. We're talking 8, 10, 12-hour drives. The kind of journey you might take from Munich to Portugal or from California to Colorado. The seat base is longer, providing better thigh support. The backrest has independently adjustable lumbar, side bolster, and shoulder support. And the massage function, often a gimmick in luxury cars, actually provides therapeutic benefit. BMW worked with ergonomic specialists and actually mapped out the muscle groups that fatigue during extended driving. The massage program targets those specific areas. Second-row accommodations are where the X7 has always had an advantage, and the 2027 model extends that lead. The captain's chairs available in the 6-seat configuration offer the same adjustment and comfort as the front seats. There's genuine legroom, not the compromised space you sometimes find in 3-row SUVs. The climate control is independently adjustable, with vents positioned to provide personal comfort zones without creating drafts. And the entertainment system has been designed to work with wireless headphones, eliminating the tangle of cords that inevitably accumulates in family vehicles. The third row is actually usable by adults, which is rarer than it should be in this segment. BMW lengthened the wheelbase by 2 inches compared to the previous generation, and all of that went to third-row legroom. The floor is lower, so your knees aren't up around your chest. The seat cushions are properly thick and supportive, and there are dedicated USB-C ports, cup holders, and climate vents. It's a space designed for occasional adult use, not just for children or emergency seating. Now let's address technology, because this is where BMW made some decisions that initially seem conservative but are actually quite strategic. The infotainment system is based on BMW's latest operating system, which is intuitive if you've used any modern smartphone. But here's the key difference. BMW maintained physical controls for climate, volume, and drive mode selection. They did extensive testing with their target demographic and found that people over 45 overwhelmingly prefer physical buttons for frequently used functions. Not because they can't use touchscreens, but because physical controls provide feedback and don't require looking away from the road. The voice control system is genuinely useful, which is a rarity. BMW partnered with a different AI company than most manufacturers, and the results are impressive. Natural language processing that actually understands context and nuance. You can say, "I'm feeling cold," and the system will increase the cabin temperature. You can say, "Find me a restaurant with outdoor seating near our destination," and it provides relevant options. The system learns your preferences over time, understanding that when you say "call home" at 5 p.m. on a weekday, you probably mean your spouse, but at 2 p.m. on a Saturday, you might mean your parents. The driver assistance systems are comprehensive without being intrusive. Adaptive cruise control that maintains a natural following distance rather than the overly cautious spacing some systems use. Lane keeping assist that centers the vehicle smoothly rather than ping-ponging between lane markers. Parking assist that actually works in real-world situations, not just perfectly marked parking lots. And here's what's clever. The system learns how you drive and adjusts its interventions accordingly. If you're a confident, engaged driver, it provides assistance without being overbearing. If you're less confident or frequently distracted, it becomes more active. The night vision system is more sophisticated than what you'll find in the Mercedes GLS or Audi Q8. It doesn't just detect pedestrians and animals. It predicts movement trajectories and highlights potential collision risks before they become urgent. The display integrates into the head-up display, so the information appears where you're already looking rather than requiring you to scan another screen. Sound system options include a standard setup that's perfectly adequate and a Bowers & Wilkins system that's genuinely exceptional. BMW and Bowers & Wilkins spent 2 years tuning this system specifically for the X7's cabin. They didn't just install expensive speakers and call it done. They analyzed the acoustics of the interior space, accounting for the materials, the seating configurations, the ambient noise at various speeds. The result is a system that delivers accurate, immersive sound, whether you're in the driver's seat or the third row. Let's talk about driving dynamics, because this is still a BMW, and ultimate driving machine isn't just a slogan. The X7 rides on BMW's CLAR platform, which is more sophisticated than what underpins the Mercedes GLS or the Audi Q7. The suspension uses air springs at all 4 corners, with adaptive dampers that adjust countless times per second based on road conditions and driving style. But the real innovation is in how the systems communicate with each other. The predictive suspension uses the front camera to scan the road ahead, identifying imperfections and adjusting the dampers before you reach them. It doesn't just react to impacts, it prepares for them. On a rough motorway or a deteriorated country road, the X7 glides with a composure that feels almost uncanny. The body remains level, the cabin stays quiet, and the ride quality remains consistent whether you're running empty or loaded with 7 passengers and luggage. The steering has been recalibrated to provide more feedback at speed without becoming heavy in parking situations. It's a difficult balance to strike in a vehicle of this size and weight, but BMW's engineers managed it. You get genuine information through the rim about what the front wheels are encountering, which builds confidence when you're carrying speed through corners or navigating unfamiliar roads in poor conditions. The chassis tuning is where the X7 really distinguishes itself from the competition. The Mercedes GLS rides beautifully, absolutely, but it feels like a luxury liner. It isolates you from the road, which is sometimes exactly what you want. The Audi Q7 and Q8 have that typical Audi competence, a sense of solidity and precision that inspires confidence. The BMW strikes a different balance. It maintains that connection to the road, that sense of what the vehicle is doing, while still delivering genuine luxury and comfort. You're aware of the road surface without being punished by it. You feel the weight transfer in corners without the body rolling excessively. All-wheel drive is standard across the range, with a system that can send up to 100% of torque to either axle as needed. In normal driving, power is biased toward the rear wheels for efficiency and dynamics. When conditions deteriorate or you're asking for maximum acceleration, it distributes power to wherever it can be used most effectively. The system includes an off-road mode that adjusts throttle response, transmission mapping, and stability control parameters for low traction situations. It's not a Land Rover, but it's more capable than most owners will ever need or use. Towing capacity is rated at 7,700 pounds when properly equipped, which puts it ahead of the Audi Q7 and on par with the Mercedes GLS. But the BMW has a few clever features that make towing less stressful. The Trailer Stability Assist actively intervenes if it detects trailer sway, applying individual brakes and adjusting engine power to maintain control. The surround view camera system includes a trailer view that shows the hitch area, making coupling and uncoupling much easier. And the suspension automatically levels when you connect the trailer, maintaining proper ride height and headlight aim regardless of tongue weight. Now, let's address fuel economy, because this matters to people who actually daily drive their luxury SUVs, rather than just using them for special occasions. The base inline-six model returns 21 miles per gallon combined in real-world driving, which is competitive with the segment. The plug-in hybrid, if you're actually charging it regularly and using it as intended, can return over 50 miles per gallon equivalent for typical daily use. But these numbers only tell part of the story. BMW focused on real-world efficiency, rather than just optimizing for test cycles. The engine management system is sophisticated enough to know when you're approaching your home or office, gradually switching to electric mode so you arrive quietly and without emissions. The navigation system considers elevation changes, traffic patterns, and your driving history to optimize energy usage for longer trips. It's the kind of intelligence that makes the technology feel like it's working for you rather than you working around the technology's limitations. Maintenance and ownership costs are considerations for buyers in this segment, even though they're not usually price-sensitive. BMW has extended service intervals and included more comprehensive warranty coverage with the 2027 X7. The base warranty is 4 years or 50,000 miles, which is standard, but they've added a powertrain warranty that extends to 6 years or 100,000 miles. The plug-in hybrid battery is covered for 8 years or 100,000 miles, and BMW is offering a prepaid maintenance package that covers all scheduled service for the first 5 years or 60,000 miles. These might seem like small details, but they matter to people who keep vehicles for extended periods. The X7 is expensive, certainly, with pricing starting around $87,000 for the base model and extending beyond $120,000 for fully loaded plug-in hybrid variants. That's significant money, even for affluent buyers. Knowing that maintenance costs are predictable and warranty coverage is comprehensive provides peace of mind that's difficult to quantify but genuinely valuable. Residual values are where BMW has historically struggled compared to Mercedes. The GLS holds its value exceptionally well, and the Audi Q7 has improved significantly in recent years. BMW is confident the 2027 X7 will be more competitive, partly because of the enhanced warranty and included maintenance, partly because of improved build quality, and partly because they're limiting production to maintain some exclusivity. They're not flooding the market the way they did with some previous models. Safety equipment is comprehensive, as you'd expect at this price point. The X7 comes standard with automatic emergency braking that works at highway speeds, not just in urban environments. Blind spot monitoring that covers adjacent lanes and the lane one over. Cross-traffic alert that works when you're pulling out of angled parking spaces, not just backing up. Rear automatic emergency braking for those situations where you're reversing and a child or pet suddenly appears behind the vehicle. The structure itself incorporates high-strength steel and aluminum in strategic locations to manage crash energy while keeping weight reasonable. BMW subjected the X7 to additional crash testing beyond regulatory requirements, particularly focused on protecting third-row occupants. The results show that the X7 provides comparable protection in the third row to what you get in the second row, which is not always the case in three-row SUVs. Now let's compare directly to the competition, because that's ultimately what buyers will do. The Mercedes GLS is the established benchmark. It's refined, it's luxurious, it feels special. The interior quality is exceptional, the ride is sublime, and the brand prestige is undeniable. But the GLS feels more like a statement piece than a daily driver. It's almost too nice, too precious. You hesitate to load it up with muddy bikes or wet dogs or the detritus of actual family life. The BMW feels more usable, more robust, more like a tool that happens to be luxurious, rather than a luxury object that happens to have some utility. The Audi Q7 and Q8 bring typical Audi strengths. The build quality is impeccable. The technology integration is seamless. The virtual cockpit is genuinely excellent, but they lack character, personality. They're very good at everything without being exceptional at anything. The BMW has more dynamic range. It rides better on the highway than the Audi. It handles better on a winding road than the Audi. It tows better than the Audi. It's not as consistently above average as the Audi, but its peaks are higher. What BMW understood, and this is the crucial insight, is that buyers in this segment aren't looking for the most of anything. They're not after the fastest acceleration or the lowest emissions or the most technology. They want balance, competence, and character. They want a vehicle that does everything well enough that they never feel compromised, while also having some spark, some personality that makes the ownership experience emotionally satisfying, rather than just functionally adequate. The 2027 X7 delivers that balance in a way its predecessors didn't. It's grown up without becoming boring. It's sophisticated without being pretentious. It's technologically advanced without being gimmicky. And perhaps most importantly, it feels like it was designed for people who actually drive rather than people who collect cars, or use them primarily for valet-to-valet transportation. Looking ahead, BMW's strategy with the X7 suggests a broader philosophy that could reshape their entire SUV lineup. They're focusing on quality over quantity, on refinement over revolution, on solving real problems, rather than just adding features. They're willing to be patient with electrification, waiting until they can deliver electric vehicles that don't ask customers to compromise. They're investing in the fundamentals like materials, ergonomics, and driving dynamics, rather than just piling on screens and software. This approach is risky in some ways. The automotive media loves revolutionary design and bleeding-edge technology, but BMW seems to have recognized that their actual customers, the people spending their own money on these vehicles, want something different. They want evolution, refinement, and thoughtful improvement. They want to know that the company building their vehicle is focused on making it better in ways that matter rather than just making it different. The market response will be fascinating to watch. Initial orders have been strong, particularly in markets where BMW traditionally excels like Germany, the United States, and South Korea. But the real test will come in 2 or 3 years when early adopters have lived with the vehicle and word of mouth begins to spread. Will the focus on fundamentals and real-world usability resonate with buyers? Or will they gravitate toward the flashier technology and more dramatic designs of competitors? What we can say definitively is this: BMW has created a flagship SUV that reflects genuine maturity and confidence. They're not trying to out-Mercedes or out-tech Tesla. They're building the vehicle they believe their customers actually need, informed by data, experience, and a deep understanding of how these vehicles are really used. Whether that strategy succeeds commercially remains to be seen, but from a product perspective, the 2027 X7 represents BMW at its most thoughtful and customer-focused. The luxury SUV segment needed this. It needed a vehicle that reminded everyone that luxury isn't just about big screens and bold styling. It's about quality, refinement, and attention to detail. It's about understanding that the people buying these vehicles have high expectations because they've experienced enough luxury products to know the difference between genuine quality and effective marketing. The 2027 BMW X7 feels like it was built for those people, by people who share their values and priorities. Something unusual just happened in Munich, and the reverberations are being felt in Stuttgart and Ingolstadt right now. BMW has released the 2027 X7, and this isn't another predictable update with slightly sharper headlights and a new infotainment screen. This is BMW fundamentally rethinking what their flagship SUV should be, and in doing so, they've exposed some critical oversights in how Mercedes and Audi have been approaching this segment. What makes this particularly compelling is that BMW didn't win by doing what everyone expected. They won by doing what almost no one saw coming. Let me give you some context, because understanding where BMW started makes where they've arrived so much more significant. When the first generation X7 debuted in 2019, the automotive press was divided. Some praised its boldness and presence. Others criticized its oversized grilles and somewhat hurried interior execution. Sales were solid, particularly in the United States and China. But there was a sense that BMW had arrived late to a party that Mercedes had been hosting successfully for years. The GLS was the established king. The Audi Q7 had evolved into a mature, sophisticated package, and BMW's entry felt like they were trying too hard to make an impression.